Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I tried to climb as many 6C routes as I could at Adam Ondra's climbing gym. And in this video, I'm going to rate them. Stick around till the end to see me climb a route I honestly didn't think I could send. But why am I making this video? This was a personal challenge I set for myself because I started to feel a bit discouraged in my climbing. I felt like I wasn't progressing to higher grades and I couldn't really see any improvements. Even in the app, as you can see here, my level keeps going up and down all the time. There could be many reasons for that: breaks in training due to illness or personal life, hormonal changes, or maybe even inconsistencies in how routes are graded by the setters. Either way, I needed a fresh goal to focus on than just climbing higher and higher grades. Something that will make my sessions exciting again. And since 6C is around my current climbing level, I decided to try all the 6Cs at Hangar, and ideally send them too, and then rate each one based on two things: how enjoyable it was and how hard it felt compared to other 6Cs in our gym. When I talk about difficulty, I'll be judging how sandbagged or fair the grade feels, based on the grading style our gym typically uses. Enjoyability is of course very subjective, but I'll be looking for a few key things. First, whether the route includes some really nice or interesting moves. Then, how original the setting is, how unique the route felt compared to others I've climbed. And the last factor is tied to difficulty. How much of a challenge the route offers. Because, let's be honest, if a climb feels too easy and I stand it without really having to work for it, it's just not as satisfying as one where I have to figure out the beta or fight through a tough crux. I'll be rating each route with a star system, from 0 stars, which I honestly hope no route deserves, to 5 stars. Truly great climb that leaves a great impression. I'll also reveal my top 3 favorites. Routes that were both tough in a good way and really enjoyable to climb. My ratings come from my personal experience with 6C routes, mostly at Hangar. I've also climbed a few times at Block Dog in Bratislava, Boulder Bar in Vienna, and in bouldering gyms in Estonia and the Netherlands. But I didn't climb 6C at that time. And I've noticed that the grades at my home gym usually feel a bit softer than what I've experienced elsewhere. So even if I'm trying to be objective, I'm probably still comparing everything to what 6C normally feels like at Hangar. I hoped to finish the challenge in just 2 sessions, but I ended up spreading it over several days because I got sick. In the first session, I started slow and climbed the 6Cs in the kids section. They looked fairly easy. In the next sessions, I did the routes in Summit and Section B, also some routes in Section A. Then in following sessions, I climbed the ones in A, and finally I added few routes after this. Kicking things off easy in the kids section of the gym. I originally planned to make this video sooner, but then life happened. I got sick. After getting back, I took it slow, but surprisingly, I managed to send 2 6Cs right away. First one was this route with yellow-purple holds. I'll start with famous climber's words. It could have been a flash, but I failed the starting position twice because I couldn't hold on. Also, I hadn't planned to send the whole route at first. I just wanted to check it out for this video. Otherwise, I think it had potential to be flashed. I was still a bit rusty after not climbing for a while. This video actually shows my second try. You can see the struggle from my first attempt in the video I made about getting back to climbing after being sick. The first move was enjoyable and the Gaston wasn't bad either. So difficulty, definitely easier than 6C because it's made for kids. I'll give it 6B+. Enjoyability, the route wasn't very original and felt quite simple overall. Also, there wasn't really anything too memorable about this. It probably won't stick in my memory. But since I've been off climbing for 11 days, I was really hyped to be back. And it gave me a nice ego boost. Taking those personal factors into account, I'd give it a 4 stars for fun. But compared to other routes I've climbed, it's more like a 2-star route. Pink route in the kids section. This route looked doable and not too exhausting at first glance. It was quite crimpy and tested my shoulder mobility and leg flexibility. I really like the moment when I put my left leg up and pull myself up with my hands. There was also a bit of adrenaline and uncertainty because it didn't look very trustworthy. But surprisingly, it worked quite well. Difficulty. Well, I definitely think it's an easy 6C since I flashed it even after a break from bouldering. I think it's also 6B+. Enjoyability. When I finally ascended, I was shaking a bit, but the tension often makes a climb more fun. I would give it a 4 out of 5 stars. The holds were well placed, it was fun and adrenaline filled, even though it felt a bit easier than a true 6C. Purple route in the kids section. I suck at dynos, so this one was really tough for me. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to stick the dynamic move, so I can only rate the very start of the route. Difficulty? I might be a bit controversial here, since others gave it a 6B on the app, but for me it was a solid 6C. While I agree it's not a super hard route, I definitely rate it as a tougher one compared to others in the kids section. When it comes to enjoyability, I would give it 3 out of 5 stars, but that's mostly because I didn't get the chance to try the whole route. Blue route in the kids section. The next 6C was a rather easy slab route, which gave my hands a nice break. I got lost, but just because I didn't read the route beforehand, and still managed to flash it. At the top, I didn't use the last foothold. I just balanced and stretched up, which worked to my advantage since I'm probably taller than the kids this route was set for. Difficulty? It felt a bit overgraded, although my height might have helped. Enjoyability? I usually enjoy slabby routes, but this one didn't really impress me. At the time, I gave it 4 stars because I was enjoying every climb, but looking back, I would rate it 3 stars. For my first proper 6C session, I started at the summit and then moved over to Hall B. White route on the summit. The start has a nice toe hook. A perfect opportunity for me to practice my toe hooking technique. I was testing my brand new Ondra comp shoes, so I first tried my old shoes which have worn out Velcro and don't hold as well anymore. Then I switched into the new ones. And I have to say, the difference was huge. I'm really excited to try more routes where I can take full advantage of the grippy rubber on the top of the shoe. Difficulty? I'd rate it a 6C by Hangar standards, but it really depends on how stable you are with your toe hooks. If toe hooking comes effortlessly to you, the whole route will probably feel very easy. Enjoyability? Without the toe hook, I'd probably give it a 2 or 3 stars. But that toe hook move gave me a great learning moment. I realized I need to put my left hand higher and face more toward the wall instead of looking at my right leg. So personally, I'm bumping it up to 4 stars. Yellow route in Hall B. After that, I moved over to Hall B, where a yellow 6C route has been set for a while, but I hadn't tried yet. I didn't expect it to be my favorite, and I assumed it would take me more than one attempt. So I was really pleasantly surprised when I managed to flash it and ended up with a great feeling about the whole climb. None of the holds were really bad. It was more about choosing the right hold at the right moment. For example, the third hold from the top. I initially wanted to use it earlier, but it turned out to be smarter to use a lower hold first and save the third one for the very end. I saw some climbers skipping that hold entirely. Difficulty. I would say it's more like a solid 6B+, but since it's quite technical, it feels like an easier 6C. Enjoyability. I really enjoyed it, especially because there was that element of pushing myself right before the top and having to commit a bit. You could probably see in the video, like when I was slowly shifting my foot, that I didn't feel 100% safe, but this time trusting the route paid off. Overall, I would give it 4 stars. Orange route in Hall B. This one's an old friend. I've tried before, but I just couldn't resist giving it another shot. As you saw in the challenge video, this move is still a problem for me and I don't think I'll be doing it anytime soon. Difficulty? I think it's definitely harder than 6C, everyone in the app seems to agree. And not just because of that one move, the rest isn't exactly easy either. Enjoyability? I did enjoy it, but since I didn't get very far and couldn't really judge the whole thing, I'm giving it 3 stars for now. Purple route in Hall B. I've climbed this one before, but never caught it on video. Before I used a completely different beta. I stood on the big round halls, let go of the low structure and reach up to the top one. It took me a few tries, but it worked in the end. This time I had to go with what was probably the intended beta. I didn't let go of the first structure and reach for the top from here. Honestly, this way felt easier. Difficulty. At first, I wanted to say it's on the easier side, but after trying it again and smashing my chin on it, it didn't feel that easy anymore. I think it's a 6C climb. What grade would you give it? Enjoyability. Thanks to the structures, it's a bit of an atypical route. I really like that I was able to climb it in 2 different ways. Definitely fun, I'll give it 4 out of 5 stars. This next part was in Hall A. Last time I noticed 2 6C routes right next to each other, but I hadn't tried them yet. I started with the black route. It was all about footwork. The start and the middle part were super fun, and after a few attempts, I managed to link all the moves. But the final move was a quick step up and catching the top undercling. Unfortunately, I never managed to do it. So difficulty, I'll definitely say it's a solid or maybe harder 6C. It's a mix of balancing and strong legs. Enjoyability, I absolutely loved it, even though I didn't send it. That's why I'm giving it 5 stars. Blue 6C in Hall A. The blue 6C gave me an even harder time. Just getting into the starting position wasn't easy. The route had been on the wall for a while, so I was worried I might slip when pressing into the right hand. That didn't happen, but something else did. I had no idea how to reach the second to last hold. I tried pressing my foot against the wall, but ended up falling straight to the mat. It doesn't look that bad on camera, but I got a bit shaken. Not my smartest move. Then I tried pushing through with my hands, but I couldn't make that work either. So yeah, both the black and the blue route ended unfinished. Difficulty? I would say just as hard as the black route, maybe even a 6C+. Enjoyability? Not bad, but definitely less fun than the black route. I just didn't feel the same urge to finish it. So probably 3 stars. Purple slopers in Hall A. This route was all slopers on a slightly overhanging wall. It caught my eye, and it didn't look like it should be a big problem. Open hand grips aren't exactly my strength, but hey, give it a few tries and I'll get it right. Well, not quite. Over 2 sessions, I managed to get pretty far, but I got stuck. Completely stuck, right before the top. I just couldn't reach it properly and definitely couldn't hold it. So this one goes on the list of unfinished routes too. Difficulty. The move to the top was hard, but it might be more of a me problem, not the route. I would say it's a solid 6C. Enjoyability. I really liked how focused you had to be, placing your hands just right at the right angle. It was fun. I'll give it 4 out of 5 stars. Yellow route in Hall A. I started climbing the yellow route, which features these moon-shaped holds. The star was a sit start, which was a nice change. Here you see me later in session, after many failed attempts, finally figuring out how to properly press my foot. That helped me lift myself up and hold on. But this route is trickier than it looks. I had to work a lot with my body position and find ways to make the climbing easier. It took me quite a few tries before I reached halfway. I couldn't go further because I didn't have the strength to hold the pinch. Definitely not my strongest point. Difficulty? I would say it's somewhere between 6C and 6C+, but since it's quite long, I would lean more towards 6C+. Enjoyability? I really enjoy this one. I like coming back to it multiple times. I would give it full 5 stars. Blue-black route in Hall A. I had the beta for this one and I actually sent it on my first try, but it wasn't without a fight. The start was all about hanging on a hold at the right angle. Near the top, I really struggled figuring out the right body position. Since I was on the route for quite a while, I thought I was gonna fall just because I ran out of strength. You see, I was kinda desperate and a bit scared of the last move, where you have to move to the left. Difficulty. Anyway, right after I gave it a 6B+, because I flashed it, so it can be that hard, right? But I think this route is actually 6B+ if you have the beta and don't start panicking or putting your feet in the wrong places. When it comes to enjoyability, I would say somewhere between 3 and 4 stars. It wasn't boring, but honestly, within minutes I forgot I even climbed it. Pink-black route in Hall A. I regret spending too much time at the start and then running out of strength at the end. This route looks a bit suspicious. Until the last moment, you're never sure if it's gonna be totally fine or if you're gonna be struggling with it for multiple sessions. It turned out to be the first case, but on my first attempt I just fell near the top. Difficulty? Okay, I would say it's more like a 6B+, but if you are not used to strength-focused routes, it might feel like a 6C, because it's a slight overhang. Enjoyability? Even though it was easier and I didn't manage to flash it due to my own silly mistake, I'll still give it 4 stars. Here's my attempt number 2. Orange route in hole A. I wasn't sure if I should include this one, because even from afar, it didn't look inviting and I didn't like it. The holes looked slippery and worn out, and I was sure my hands would slip like crazy. Turns out I was right. I gave it a few tries, but I didn't want to waste more time on it. It just didn't call me. Difficulty? After it's been a few weeks on the wall, I'll definitely rate it 6C+, or maybe even 7A. I would give it a higher grade even though it's meant for kids. Enjoyability? Honestly, 1 star. I won't lie, I just wasn't in the mood to try it, and after a few attempts I confirmed I had no desire to send it. Purple route in hole A. For the end of this session, I tackled another purple route in hole A. I was running low on energy, but I had about 4 routes left to complete all the 6C climbs, so I wanted to push myself. I tried it, but I could tell right away it wasn't going to happen. So I saved it for another session, and with a different beta, basically skipping one volume and climbing mostly on the left side, I managed to send it. And that felt pretty satisfying. Difficulty. With this beta, I would say it's more of an easier 6C. If I had climbed it the original way, it's definitely a solid 6C. Enjoyability? It wasn't my favorite route, so I give it about 3 stars out of 5. Black route in hole A. After the success of sending the purple sloper route, I moved on to the black route, which was made for kids. It seemed flashable. Difficulty. None of the moves were really demanding, at least not for an adult, so for me it's a solid 6B+. Enjoyability? 2 out of 5 stars. You can tell how the difficulty is linked to how excited I felt after sending it, because honestly I wasn't that thrilled. Blue route in hole A. Another blue route in hole A. During one session with my nephew, I climbed the 6C route, so I'm adding it here. I liked it, though I struggled a bit with the top. I was approaching it from the wrong angle, which made the hold feel awkward. But once I tried it the way others suggested, the top actually felt surprisingly nice. Difficulty? With the right beta, more like a 6B+, but at that moment it felt like a 6C. Enjoyability? Nothing unforgettable, but it served its purpose and kept us entertained for a while. I would give it 3.5 stars. In the app, I rated 4 stars. Blue Dyno in hole A. And finally, here's the promised route that really gave me a hard time. This blue one. That initial jump looks super intimidating, and as you might have noticed, I'm not exactly a pro at dynamic moves. But I hyped myself up and gave it a shot, and honestly, it was a lot of fun. Even though it cost me a lot of attempts trying to jump with both feet at once. I tried a few times in my old climbing shoes, and when it wasn't working, I switched to new ones. Not sure if it was placebo or the shoes really helped, or maybe I just practiced the move enough, but it took me only about 3 tries before I finally stuck the jump. After that, I climbed the rest of the route without a problem. I tried it once beforehand just to check it if it was really doable. I was just in the wrong position and I didn't want to risk it when I didn't have the start, so I just jumped down. But once I nailed the jump, I was determined not to miss out on this route. And I did it. I stacked the dyno, then stood up on the structure and held the top. Difficulty? I would say it's definitely a proper 6C. And when it comes to enjoyability, I would say it's extremely enjoyable. I would give it 5 stars. Alright, so how many routes did I climb during this challenge? It was 19 different routes across 4 sessions. I think this is the perfect moment to start wrapping things up. Now let me share my top 3 routes. In third place is the black route in Hall A. I really like that it's more technical, and if I had sent it, I think I would be pretty happy with that. Second place also goes to a route I didn't manage to send, the yellow one in Hall A. And coming in first place, as you might have guessed, is the blue route with the dyno. It was all about pushing my limits, and I loved how the second part focused on flexibility and balance. Overall, it just felt like the best climb for me. And here are just some final thoughts. I think 6Cs are truly diverse routes, and I feel like this is the place where the range of difficulties really starts to spread out. Because the routes can focus on very different elements that push difficulty up and down. For example, I'm better at flexibility and have less raw climbing strength. And my weak spots are definitely dynos and pinches. So I might flash one 6C easily, but then spend several sessions struggling on another 6C that's all about power or dynamic moves. How about you? What kind of 6C routes do you find easier? And which ones are your nightmare? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. You can also subscribe to my channel for more climbing videos. Anyway, thanks for watching and see you in the next one.